Okay, so right now we're looking at a scale drawing exercise. So to start with, we have a little picture over here of China, and down the bottom here we have a scale. And the scale tells us how far apart two cities might be. So if we measured from here to here, and then we looked on here, we can tell that Wuhan to Ningbo is about 600 kilometers. Quite a topical place at the moment, given the COVID virus. This is a bit hard to work with because you need to actually have a ruler and then measure it against the scale. Sometimes we're just given a scale as a pair of numbers. So one of whatever you measure is equal to 10,000 in the same units for this map here. This is of San Francisco. I don't know what the COVID issue is with them at the moment, but we'll have a look at this one. So this indicates that one something on the map is equal to 10,000 somethings in real life. So imagine if we measured 1 centimeter, say from here to here, it would be 10,000 centimeters in real life. Similarly, if we measured 1 millimeter on here, it would be 10,000 millimeters in real life. But those numbers to us don't typically mean much because we don't really think in 10,000 centimeters or 10,000 millimeters. So we need to be able to convert them to measurements that we are used to. So let's have a look. Let's imagine that Jefferson Street here is 5 centimeters long. So that would indicate that it's 50,000 centimeters in real life, and we could use our ratio to convert it. So for instance, if we know that the map is 1:10,000, and we know that for every 1 centimeter it'll be 10,000 centimeters, we want to know for 5 centimeters, how many centimeters would it be? So to get from 1 to 5, we're going to multiply this side by 5, so we have to multiply the other side by 5 as well. So that would be 50,000. So this length here, if it was 5 centimeters long, would be 50,000 centimeters in real life. But that's not a readily recognizable length. So let's think about something that is. A meter is equal to 100 centimeters. If we cross off 2 there, we would say that it's 500 meters long. And we know 500 meters because that's half a kilometer. So it's a reasonable length. So being able to convert between units of length is a useful skill when looking at scale drawings. So let's have a quick look at how that's constructed and how it's been designed. So the SI unit of length, the standard unit of length, is the meter. And we use prefixes, things in front of meter, to indicate how big or small the measurement is. So we know a kilometer is 1,000 meters, kilo indicating 1,000. A centimeter is 1/100th of a meter. There's 100 centimeters in a meter. And a millimeter is 1,000. There's 1,000 millimeters in a meter. It's 1,000th of a meter. So using those number facts, 2 kilometers would be 2 times 1,000 meters, which would be 2,000 meters. 250 centimeters would be 250 times 1/100, which would be 2.5 meters. And 15,000 millimeters would equal 15,000 times 1/1,000. Cross off 3 zeros and you get to 15 meters. Now, if you know these number facts, you can use them for converting units, and they can be useful sometimes. But often you'll find that people will use a number chart like this. I'll introduce it to you quickly, and it's quite easy to remember because it goes up 10, 100,000. To get from millimeters to centimeters, divide by 10. To get from centimeters to meters, divide by 100. To get from meters to kilometers, divide by 1,000, and do the reverse if you're converting the other way. So if the map had a scale of 1:20,000, we're going to find the actual distance for each scale distance. So we've measured 2 centimeters on the map. We have this scale. If we multiply this side by 2, we're going to multiply that side by 2 as well. That gives us our 40,000. So for our 2 centimeters, it would be 40,000 centimeters. 40,000 doesn't really mean much to us. So let's convert it to a unit that we do know. To get from centimetres to metres, divide by 1,000, tick off 2 places, it's going to be 400 metres. And 400 metres is a measurement that's much more recognisable than 40,000 centimetres. Let's have a look at this one. 5 millimetres on this map with a scale of 1:20,000. To get from 1 to 5, we're going to multiply this side by 5, so we'll have to do the same on that side. That would give me 100,000. I think I've left a 0 off, haven't I? There we go, 100,000. 100,000 millimetres. Now to get from millimetres to centimetres, we're going to divide by 10 and divide by 100. So that's 3 decimal places. 1, 2, 3, we're going to have 100 metres. Now let's have a look at 14.3 centimetres in this. So 1:14.3, and that's going to be times by 14.3. Then I have to do the same to this side. Now I'm not going to do that in my head, I worked it out earlier, it's 286,000. I hope so anyway. Now that's in centimetres, so that's an awful lot of centimetres, it doesn't mean much to us. So if we converted it to metres, we're going to take 2 zeros off. That would give us 2860 metres. That's still pretty big, so maybe we should go one more step and take 3 more zeros. 1, 2, 3. That would give us 2.86 kilometres. Now these sorts of conversions are really useful and we use them a lot in maths. Now sometimes we want to go backwards. So we measure a unit in real life and then we want to find out what the scaled length would be. So let's imagine that we want to make a model boat, and we have a real boat, and we can measure the real boat.
This is a notice to everyone on premises that water has been turned off. That is, all water has been turned off.
So just in case you didn't hear that, if you're at school right now, the water has been turned off. I'm not sure how that would be useful to you, but it's interesting information nonetheless. So let's have a look at this. We've got a model boat. Someone's gone out with a tape measure and measured that it's 50 metres long. We want to make a little boat. So we're going to scale it by a factor of 1:500. A scale boat would be 500 times smaller than a real boat. So to get from 500 down to 50, we're going to divide by 10. So that will be 1/10 of a metre, which we know is just 10 centimetres. 1/10 of 100 is 10. And the same here. We start with 1:500. We want to get this down to 75. We measured 75 centimetres on the boat for one of the windows. We want to convert it to a scaled size. To get from 500 to 75, 500 divided by 75 is 6 2/3. So if we divide 500 by 6 2/3, we get 75. Do the same to the other side, and we get, well, let's do it. 1, do it over here on my calculator. 1 divided by 6 and 2. Oops. 1 divided by 6 and 1 divided by 6 and 2/3, which gives me 3/20. Which, if I find that out as a decimal, it gives me 0.15. Centimetres. Now if I convert that to millimetres, I times it by 10, which will give me 1.5 millimetres. It'll be a rather small length on my boat. So what if it was 4,550 millimetres? Well, to get from 500 to 4,550, I'm going to have to multiply by 9.1. So I have to do the same to the other side. 1 times 9.1 will get me to 9.1. And thus my scaled measurement would be 9.1 millimetres. It's a little bit harder to get your head around, but it's not too bad once you've done a few. So the last little bit of this exercise talks about scale factor. And to find a scale factor, we convert the scale to the form 1:x, and x will be the scale factor. Just remembering to remove the units first. So if you've got different units on either side of the ratio, convert them both to the same units and then divide it out. So here we are. We have 4 millimeters is to 50 centimeters. I'm going to convert both of these to millimeters. 4 millimeters is to 500 millimeters. Now I'm going to reduce them both to having a 1 on the left-hand side by dividing both sides by 4. If I divide this side by 4, I'll get 1. If I divide this side by 4, I'll get 125. I've got millimeters on both sides, I can divide them out, and I get left with 1:125. Now this number here becomes the scale factor, and I just write out, therefore the scale factor is 125. Same with this one. Given 3 centimeters equals 0.1 of a millimeter, find the scale factor. Convert the units to the same thing. I'm going to convert the centimeters to millimeters. Here it is here. I'm going to get rid of this 0.1 by multiplying both sides by 10. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 300 to make the left-hand side 1, which is what's been done there. Then I'm going to get rid of the units. I'm left is 1:1 over 300, and whatever the number is on the right-hand side gives me the scale factor. Now once you've worked through this and you've watched it a few times, work through the exercise in 6D. Thanks everyone. I'm pushing the wrong buttons. This is the one I want.